This is, so in the last Wine and Web, we showed how to use AI to create a persona and use the persona to understand the audience and use the audience's interest to create outlines and to use the outline to create a draft. It was basically an entire framework for doing content marketing using AI. And at the end, we showed the ways in which we do and don't use it. We don't do all those things with AI. But there's something that we've learned since that is very exciting, which is using AI for analysis. Those of you who know us well know that we do a lot of GA4 content. We're analytics people going way, way back. So right now I'm going to walk through a bunch of use cases for using AI to analyze content, to do analysis on marketing data. So here we go. My opening thesis here is sort of that there are analysts who are very good at both the reporting and the analysis, and that's like a high-skilled marketing data analyst. Some marketers don't get to the analysis part and they just simply do a lot of reporting. And I think that takes less skill because you don't have to apply your thinking to it. You're just running reports. When it comes to AI, there are the high-skilled AI users. And yes, it's a skill. And yes, go ahead and budget 100 hours in the next 6 months for you to practice this skill, are actually going from the idea straight through to impact. The lower skilled AI users or people who are more new to it are just kind of getting a little start or getting ideas or creating things that are of just lower impact. So my thesis tonight is that if you connect all the dots and you combine your marketing analytics skills with your AI skills, that you can go from the report through to analysis, through to ideas, and to actual impact. And if you pay attention or think of this while I go through, you'll realize that in different moments I'm doing reporting, analysis, ideation, and finally impact. Okay, here we go. I have to give a warning first because you should not be uploading data unless you have permission to upload that data. We've gotten emails from clients saying, do not upload any of our data to any AI. I respect that. I'm not uploading any of my clients' data to AI because I have not gotten their permission to do so. Everything I'm going to do is with my own data. Having said that, there's nothing sensitive about the data I'm uploading anyway. It's all like marketing analytics data. It's all anonymized data. There's nothing really to worry about in here for me. But check your agreements, talk to your clients, talk to your team, ask your boss if you could just upload data because once it goes in there, it never comes out again. Having said that, I've learned that it's AI's short-term memory that worries me more than AI's long-term memory. I frequently have to kind of keep uploading things to try to get it to remember. It keeps forgetting, as you'll see in a minute on some examples of prompts. Okay. I'm going to use a tool that was until I think just a few days ago called Code Interpreter. It is a feature of ChatGPT Plus. If you pay the $20 a month and you click on the 3 dots next to your name, you can go to settings and beta and then turn on what they now call just advanced data analysis. That was until the other day just called Code Interpreter. Now it's called Advanced Data Analysis. So toggle that on. And then when you start a chat, if you click on GPT-4, go down and turn on Advanced Data Analysis, now you're using the version of AI that has that plus button where you can upload things to it. You can give it data. You can give it spreadsheets. You can give it CSV files or all kinds of different files. And it will chug through and tell you what it learned and run reports and draw charts. I'm going to show you charts that are not in any of your other reports, charts that are specific to this type of analysis. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start with some SEO stuff first and then move sort of downwards through the funnel. And this first one's kind of interesting. I'm going to start with a little bit more advanced approach because I'm going to combine 2 different data sources and have the AI merge them into one file and make recommendations for my content, specifically my title tags that would improve their click-through rates in search. I learned this years ago from Larry Kim, who I just talked to the other day. He did this post forever ago about how there are certain things that rank in search of yours that have lower than expected click-through rates based on their search position. That it ranks high. It should have a high click-through rate, but it has a low click-through rate. Why is that? It's because of the psychology that happens when the visitor looks at that, the searcher looks at your title tag, right? The link in Google. So to find which of your pages has a lower than expected click-through rate, we're going to go to Google Search Console, search.google.com, and I'm going to take out some stuff. I don't want to see any of my branded queries. Everyone ranks number 1 for their brand or should, and the navigational branded queries have super high click-through rates, so we want to get rid of those. And then I want to focus on my content marketing programs. I could also exclude my content marketing and do this just for my sales pages. And I also don't care that much about pages that had no clicks, right? There's just, queries that had no clicks. So this is a queries. I want to get all of this data out of here by clicking export. And now I have all the click-through rates of all of my URLs based on their search position. But what Search Console doesn't have is the title tags of those URLs. I'm going to get that out of GA4. So the title tags and page. So I go to a report, just looking at pages and screens, change the primary dimension to page title. And then for the secondary dimension, I'm going to call it page path. So now I've got a little chart here, right, that shows the title tag for every URL. Export that. I'm only doing this because I want the title tags. I don't care about really any of the other data. You could customize this report and just remove all the data because I'm really just trying to get those two to map together. Here are my prompts. Hey, ChatGPT, I'm giving you get data from Google Search Console. Can you analyze it? Of course, sure. And it starts to analyze the data. It's got it. Now, I'm going to give it the other one that says I'm giving you now data that shows the title tags for every one of those URLs. Clean it up a little, right? Remove the non-English ones. Those people are in a browser that has different language settings. Remove merge that with the first data set, put them together, and give me a link to download because I don't know if I trust you yet. I want to check this. Every time I ask ChatGPT to manipulate data, I'm also asking it to get a link to download that data because I need to manually review it because I don't trust it. I don't know for sure that it's going to, not glitch and like just, go down to a CSV file with 5 rows. I've seen that. Like it does weird things. So you got to look at it closely. And so I'm going to download the merged file and take a look at it. It looks good. So my next prompt is I'm going to give it a role. You probably heard this already. You get better results or different results if you tell the AI who it is. Hey, ChatGPT-4, you are an SEO and you're an expert at analyzing search performance. You're an expert at the psychology of click-through rates and maximizing engagement in a search results page. Which of these pages has a lower than expected click-through rate based on its average search position? It made a chart for me. That chart is not useful to me. But down below the chart, actually, it does start to do the analysis and it shows me which of my pages has a lower than expected click-through rate based on its search position. And it's suggesting to me updates to the title tags. I gotta say, I'm pretty much agreeing with everything that it says. I'm wearing my hat as a content strategist and as an SEO. I'm thinking deeply about click-through rates and psychology and like why people click and don't click. Every one of these looks like it's pretty good, right? It turns the current title tag into it makes this one into a question, which I get, 14 ways to say thank you to the network and build your network. That makes sense to me. The current one says how to design data visualizations. This one added a number, 7 pro tips for designing eye-catching data visualizations. Honestly, I believe that every one of these improvement title tag changes would be an improvement in the click-through rates. I'm not very skeptical. That was amazingly fast analysis. What would the impact be? Let's ask. How much more traffic per month could this blog expect if the title tag improvements bring all the URLs into the expected range? 700 clicks a month. Look, you can see how it did that. It's showing you its work. So that's an interesting example of how I gave it 2 different data sets with a specific use case. I want to find my URLs that have lower than expected click-through rates. I showed this to a friend earlier today, and he said, can I have those slides? I'm going to do that today. It's my friend Justin. I think he's probably doing this right now. It's not a time-consuming bit of analysis. The trick is to get the data out. Okay, let's move on. I got a question from Judy. Can you explain how the change in title tags, how you change title tags on a website? That's free. If you have a WordPress website with Yoast plugin installed, the title tag is manageable through Yoast. If you don't have Yoast installed, then it's just something native, maybe in WordPress or in the CMS. Title tag is a really, really important attribute of a URL because it's what appears in the tab, right? Every tab that you've got open on Chrome right now or whatever browser you use, that's the title tag for that URL. It's an important indication of relevance, single most important piece of SEO real estate on any URL. So the title tag it doesn't just correlate with rankings, it correlates with click-through rates because in most cases, that's going to be the link when the page ranks. Yeah, John's got a tip for you there too. John Nugent asked if I have tried that with Claude. I have not. I don't know that Claude does this. If you copy and paste in large amounts of data, it turns it into like an attachment, but I don't know how to add files to Claude yet, or if that's a feature. Okay, now I'm going to ask it to suggest internal links. This one's actually pretty interesting too. You are a digital marketing analyst and an expert at making data-driven recommendations. This is the same chat because it's already got my data. It's already got all of everything that it needs. So first I'm going to ask it to categorize articles into marketing topics. Categorization is one of AI's superpowers. Categorization, summarization, synthesis. These are things that anytime that you're thinking of that, anything, give it a lot of anything, just categorizing it is a good first step. So I'm asking it to categorize those, which it did quite well. I'm kind of impressed. And then it's going to, it chose those. If you ask it to categorize things, you have to tell it what type of categories first. So you should always tell it like marketing categories. If not, it just chooses random combinations of words. Now my next prompt is going to give it two criteria. Generate a list of internal linking opportunities, mapping together articles on similar topics, right? I'm looking for internal linking opportunities, so I want articles that go together. And where the page with the link has high traffic and the target page has high engagement. In other words, I want to put my best cheese on my best mousetraps. I want to link from the high traffic pages to the high engagement pages, right? This is, it's an optimization technique to improve engagement on pages, right? There's also SEO benefits or lots of other things, but you can imagine how someone that clicks on that'd be a higher value link than most. Okay, let's take a look at what it did. I'm going to agree with all of these as well. It suggests that page linked to that page, the high traffic page linked to the high engagement page, one after the other, all of these examples. That looks like good marketing to me. That looks like a simple and fast bit of analysis. Would have taken me, I don't know, hours? A couple hours for sure. It's done in minutes. That was, I think, one prompt, right? Very fast. So those internal linking opportunities are something that you could, and by the way, delegate that. Probably you could just ask it to make a CSV file for you that you could then download and then forward that to a content manager if you've got someone on your team that can handle that. But that's, it's doing things in a way that you can create files and export from there. Okay. This one's going to be a bit more controversial, potentially triggering. It's not something that I've done, but I wanted to prove to myself that it was possible to do decent analysis on this. SEO, optimizing pages, updating content for keyword inclusion. Decide whether or not at the end, if you think this is ethical or not, or sustainable, or whether it's, the trade-off between scale and quality. On-page SEO edits based on Google Search Console data, improving the relevance of one specific page. That's why this is different. Last time I was in Google Search Console, I was downloading all of my URLs, performance in click-through rate and average position. Now I'm just going to one URL. Here again, I'm going to exclude all the branded queries. I don't care about those. Some people don't even think that's SEO. Everyone should rank for their branded queries. Is that SEO? It's navigational queries. So, if you don't rank for those, it's a problem with Google, not with you. Okay, so, but I only want to pick one page. I'm focusing on one page here. This page is about like making videos for social media. Click the export button. I am obsessively looking for export buttons these days because every time I see an export button, I know that I'm only 4 minutes away from interesting insights, right? Or at least an attempt at them. Okay, so then I download that data and then I upload it here. I'm giving you Google Search Console data showing search performance of a single URL. Can you analyze? Yep, it's got it. My next prompt is the money prompt. I think of it as the money prompt, the detailed prompt that's going to give me my insights. You are an expert SEO who is highly proficient in keyword analysis. Merge the rows with very similar queries into a single row, representative of the marketing key phrase. Because I don't need the million variants. I want to kind of condense it down into simpler ones. So I want to have the very similar queries to just be combined. And now, as you do for each row, combine the data for impressions and clicks. Let's add those together. And average the data for click-through rate and average position, because I want to merge that data together as well, right? How to handle total numbers, how to handle percentages. I'm having it average the percentage and sum the total numbers. So then provide a link to download. Okay, that link looks really good to me. I download that. It's like a bunch of query data for a specific URL, and it kind of makes sense. It's not 1,000 rows. It's like 100 rows, and I'm feeling good about this being a good guidance on how I could, the relevant phrases for this page. If this page, the idea goes like this: this page will rank higher if in fact it does use all those queries for which it's relevant. Not just relevant, but already ranking. Many pages, or maybe all of us have hundreds of pages that rank for hundreds of phrases that aren't actually even on the page. If you want a short, fast path to higher rankings, just confirm that the page is using the phrases that it ranks for. Because if a page ranks 50th on page 5 in Google for a phrase that doesn't appear on the page, just putting that phrase on the page, well, it'll rank much higher immediately because it didn't even have that phrase on the page until then. Okay, download the data. Do you believe it? Check it, look at it, confirm. Here we go. Now here's the page itself. Here's the web page for the data that you just analyzed. Evaluate this content's key phrase usage and key phrase frequency for the key phrases in the data set. Paste in the copy of the page. So I found all the phrases for which it ranks, and then I have it analyze the page. Then I have it compare the page to the phrases for which it ranks to look for gaps. It actually finds a bunch. It does text pre-processing, key phrase extraction, evaluation. So and you can decide for yourself if this would be effective or efficient or ethical, or if it robs you of something you love in your life about your job. The prompt sounds like this. Suggest edits to this page that would help it rank higher by better indicating its relevance for the key phrases in the data set. Focus on recommendations that include key phrases that are not on the page, but are in the data set. Make recommendations that actually improve the flow and clarity of the content. That's why people hate SEO, right? It's like, oh, I got to shoehorn these phrases in. I'm sick of it. I'd rather, do anything than edit this page for these phrases. I don't feel like this is marketing. This isn't human focused. But here at the AI, I'm actually telling it to make the page flow even better. Highlight the recommended changes. So in other words, use the phrases I didn't use, but that it's already ranking for, and make it sound even better than it did before. You can decide. Let's read one. Social media streams are crowded, fast-flowing, and very competitive. Let me reread that sentence in the recommendation. Navigating the crowded and competitive social media video landscape can be daunting. It's fine. It's good. I don't think it's a compromise. I'm okay with that. I would make that change. Now I'm going to do it after applying my own perspective. I'm going to do it after a careful review of these things. I'm not just hoping to press a button to optimize the page and do it all magically all at once. That probably will be a button in the future, considering that I'm doing it right now with a couple of steps. But if you read the two examples, and we're happy to share the slides, you can decide for yourself whether it's a compromise to the flow, or if it's simply good editing that makes the page both more relevant and easier to read, right? As social networks pull back on organic reach, showing up is hard. Getting attention is harder. Instead, it suggests writing, with platforms like Facebook and Instagram curtailing organic reach, the challenge of making your DIY social media videos visible is greater than ever. DIY social media videos is a phrase that this page ranks for, but it wasn't on the page. Keyword relevance. Okay, here's another list. It's just making piles of these things. I have no problem with those. I'm not planning to go do a bunch of this right now. I'm not really worried about the rankings of this page, but I think that is a good SEO. I'll just say it. Okay, moving on. Which topics should we publish for which channels? Is there a correlation between certain topics and performance in certain marketing channels? So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to analyze my Google Analytics 4 data and find correlations between topics and channel performance. That sounds fun. I'm weird. I like that kind of thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is to go in and customize this report to add my favorite metrics. I'm in just the pages and screens report, nothing fancy. Let's customize it to put my favorite metrics in here. Sessions, users, conversions, average engagement time, engaged sessions, average session duration, stuff like that. That's going to give you a sense for the performance of this, right? These are content performance metrics. Now, on the pages and screens report, my primary dimension is the title. My secondary dimension is going to be source medium, because now I'll be able to have AI analyze that page based on its title. It can extract topics from titles against its performance in different sources and mediums for different types of metrics. I grab a big date range, get a lot of data, and I'm going to see which article did how well. Make sense? Because source medium is the secondary dimension. This chart has everything that the AI would need. You can imagine this is like 30,000 rows I'm not good at doing analysis on 30,000 rows, but it has no problem with that. I'm going to narrow it down next to just filter for the blog, which is still probably 30,000 rows. Most of our rankings are on the blog. And then click that export button. It's the share icon. Click the download file, download to CSV. When you take data out of Google Analytics, you can help the AI by deleting those comments at the top. It's going to choke on that. You need do a little manual cleanup of these files. I'm sorry to say, like, that's going to help it. When I started making this presentation and doing these experiments, I thought, oh, cool, it figures it out. It sometimes does, it sometimes doesn't. It will try to clean up data, but I think you're better off taking a minute to take out the first 9 rows. Every time you export data from GA4, it puts those first dumb 9 rows at the top, and you don't want them. So get rid of those first. But you can see what the data is going to be, right? A is page title, B is source medium, sessions, users, engagement, conversions, and so forth. This is what it looks like when ChatGPT is struggling to process data. Finish working, finish working, finish working. It's writing custom Python scripts to try to clean it up. And it will do it over and over again. Eventually it'll give up, but I've seen it just chug away, right? Go get a coffee, come back. It's still trying to, process your data. Okay, so I'm going to upload this file now after cleaning it up a little bit. And I'm going to say, I'm giving you Google Analytics data about traffic to the Orbit Media blog. Can you analyze? See how I just keep using that? I'm giving you data. Can you analyze? I want to see that it's actually doing something. If I asked it to process anything or edit or merge or clean up, I'm going to ask it for the link. These are cleanup prompts. Remove all non-English language ones. Merge repetitive entries. Remove the brand from the end of those title tags. Remove campaigns that had less than a certain number, right? Threshold it. Get rid of the low. It's got too much data. There's 30,000 rows. Okay, let's get rid of the bottom 20,000 by removing all the ones that didn't have at least 50 users, stuff like that. So now it's going to clean it up. And now I'm going to give it that the sort of money prompt. You are a digital marketing analyst and an expert in making data-driven recommendations. Articles on which topics perform better in search, which perform better in social media. And you can see that it comes up with its own criteria for defining search and social and defining, bad and good. And I like it, right? Oh, we're going to filter out sessions for this, and we're going to filter out sessions for that. And then it starts doing the analysis, and the examples are not bad, right? Suggest 10. Now, it gave me some ideas, but I'm doing content marketing for future posts, right? So let's ask, suggest 10 new articles that are not in this data set. See how I moved from reporting to analysis to ideation, right? I'm still in that all night. I'm just doing that same process. Suggest 10 articles that are not in this data set and divide them into 2 groups: good for search, good for social, good for search. These make sense to me. I think it's a little bit heavily weighed based on some of our high-performing articles. We wrote a really popular article in search for testimonials, wrote a really popular article for profile pictures, another one for footers. The search one I don't love as much. The data is so skewed toward those. But the social ones really do make sense to me. Like, I could totally imagine why these would work well in social media. Demystifying and behind the scenes. So before you just go ask Google or ask ChatGPT to come up with article ideas for you, maybe give it a bunch of your data and ask it to analyze the data and then come up with article ideas for you. This is where I think you're seeing a divergence in the ways that people use AI. There are sort of lazy prompters who throw in one prompt and either run with it and get weak results, or they judge it and say that it's incompetent. Other people are working harder and going deeper and asking more kind of using more refining prompts. They're starting from an earlier starting point or taking more intermediary steps, like categorize these things, or here's a bunch of data, analyze this data to find correlations and then suggest things to me. It's not really that much more time. None of these things by far the most time-consuming thing for this was like making all these screenshots. The prompts take very little time. I could do every one of these in 3 minutes, maybe. This is not a time-consuming exercise. None of this is. What are the titles of these articles with greatest engagement have in common? Suggest 10 new topics that share the traits with the most engaging articles, right? Engagement. Now I've narrowed it on a certain metric. What do the articles that have the greatest engagement have in common? Quite smart. Inclusion of numbers, their format and structure, specific topics, dual objectives. I never thought of this. Some titles indicate that achieving multiple goals increase both traffic and conversions. I think that's a pretty good idea. Look for topic ideas that overlap, with two different goals or two different functions or two different topics. You can imagine it's like, an extra bite at the apple. Based on these traits, here are 10 new topic suggestions. I kind of like those. Those look pretty good to me. Maybe 8 of them are boring, 1 of them I've done before, and 1 of them is like a totally new idea, very interesting. So if you judge AI as like look at that and don't like the output, remember that your input was likely very simple as well. If something didn't impress you, you only spent minutes on it, so don't overreact. You can continue to refine, and if you ask for 10 things and most of them are garbage, the few that are left might still be quite valuable to you. So those are recommendations. Here I am moving over toward the impact side of my little spectrum. Which of these topics is most likely to perform well and align with the success traits? 10 proven SEO tactics to rank higher in 2023. That's what it says is its best recommendation. And then I don't do this, but you're already in the AI, so you can just simply say, write an outline for this article. Again, let's give it a little bit more to work with. The outline should work well for a draft that will eventually have 1,000 words, a bullet list, research, supportive data, many visuals, internal links to relevant articles, contributor quotes from experts, scannable format, keyword focused subheads, and short paragraphs. Just give it some editorial guidelines and tell it the outline will have to work for that. In the outline, suggest places to incorporate those elements. I think that looks pretty good. I'm not using it for this, but if you want to have AI write outlines for you, that's probably a pretty good start. I thought the headlines, if you look at them again, they're pretty expected. Core web vitals, long tail keywords, schema, stuff like that. Okay. To go back to the last webinar, we'll share the link, but the last webinar had a better way, I think, because you start with your persona. If you give it a persona prompt and then ideate topics, you kind of primed the pump to find topics that will work for the human reader. This was me just finding topics based on my marketing analytics data, which might be, a bunch of readers who are not really my target audience. Okay. Social media engagement analysis. This one took me much, much longer because I started with unstructured data. All I did was go to LinkedIn, went to my top performing posts, grabbed the longest date range possible, chose engagements, and hit Control C. Control all, select all, and then copy. And then I pasted that into a Google Sheet and began the struggle. I'm trying to do analysis based on my top performing LinkedIn posts. So the next thing I do is I give it that, and I want to see if it can help me a little bit. I'm giving you marketing analytics data about the performance of social posts. Can you analyze? And it starts to ask me questions. I try to answer questions, telling it what the rows are. And then finally, it's like, okay, give me the download. I look at the download, and then I manually cleaned it up. This was not an hour, but it was more than a half hour, to come in and try to fix all these columns. I added a new column to show if it was video or not. Now I've got a whole bunch of data in here that for the cells on that first column are the entire social post. These are like, 300 word social posts sometimes. I'm giving you data showing the performance of social media posts. Can you analyze? And then it has to work on it a bit more. In the end, it's got it. Now here comes the analysis. You're an expert social media marketer and a marketing data analyst. Find correlations and insights in this data set. Just find correlations for me. I don't even have to know what I'm looking for. You see an export button, export, upload, ask it what to ask, or ask it what it finds, or ask it to find correlations, or ask it to find insights. It can do that. Tell it who it is and tell it you want insights, and it'll do that. It actually did some, it found all statistics related to that. You can see the types of analysis it suggests. Now, I want to do some text analysis. This was not very successful. There's not enough data here. One thing that you'll quickly discover is that you want more and more and more data. The better the data, the larger the data set, the better. So going forward, start hoarding all your data, including meeting transcripts. I think those will be fantastic for data analysis one day. So create a table showing the 2-word bigrams and the 3-word trigrams that correlate with high engagement. Not super impressed. I can tell those are just simply aligned from high-performing posts. Explain content, types of marketing, article explains. I guess the word explain maybe is an insight. The 3-word trigrams, not that much here that I see. Step-by-step process. So the text analysis, in my mind, wasn't very successful. But after I asked it to group those into marketing categories, there's only like 40 of them, by the way, or 50 of them. It starts to put them together in ways that where the analysis becomes more interesting. And then it made a chart for me. This is whatever advanced data analysis it's called. It's not code interpreter, but that's one of the cool things about this now is we're making charts. This chart is showing me the average total engagement by marketing category for every one of those types of posts. This can inform a content strategy. This can inform a social media strategy. And if you break it down, now you can see which posts get traction on which get the most engagement. If you break it down, it got more interesting. Social media posts about social media had the most shares, but posts about AI had the most comments. So it's very interesting to see when things don't correlate, and when the thing that has less traffic sometimes has more engagement, or the thing with more traffic sometimes has less engagement. That's frequently what I'm trying to do, and it's a framework. It's kind of a paradigm for looking at marketing data. Which of these is the best cheese? Which of these is the best mousetrap? If you come to Wine and Web before, read the Orbit blog, or read the book, Content Chemistry, you can see we think that way a lot because different things have different jobs to do. Different things perform differently in different ways. So you get the idea. Okay, there's a lot of comments. We're going to have a conversation here in a minute. I appreciate John and Roman and people answering each other's questions there. Very grateful. Full funnel campaign analysis. This is not possible in any of your tools unless you've built a fancy Looker Studio report. So I'm going to combine data from my email service provider, we use ActiveCampaign, and Google Analytics 4. So we've taught this many times. If you use UTM tracking codes, you can link these and show, connect the email campaigns to the website traffic. But the data is still in two different places. What I'm going to do in AI is combine that data into one report. I made this myself, obviously, and that color is bothering me too. I'm sure that hurts your eyes. I'll fix this someday. But I'm literally going to create a combined report that has all of that stuff on it in one report. Ever seen a full funnel email marketing report? I never had, but I'm going to make one right now, and it took me 5 minutes. So I go to ActiveCampaign, choose a date range starting at Jan 1, 2020, and I'm going to download all that data. Let's confirm that it's got it. I'm giving you data from ActiveCampaign about email campaign performance. Can you analyze? It can analyze. Great. I'm back in GA4. Hopefully you set up GA4 a while ago because you're not going to have as much fun if you just, put this in place in July. Our GA4 data goes way back. So I've got data going to January 1st of 2020, I guess. It looks like I do. And I'm going to make a simple report rather than draw all the arrows, which you've seen too many arrows already. I've got the summary of the report down there. The key thing here is that I'm only looking at email campaigns and that I've got a secondary dimension for date, right? Because I need this to map with my email campaign data. So once I export that, I'm going to tell the AI, upload the AI. By the way, I've learned since that you can do this in one single prompt. You can click the plus button twice and upload 2 files in the same prompt. So probably you could do the same thing with one fewer prompt if you wanted to. I'm giving you data from Google Analytics about website traffic from email campaigns. Can you analyze? Great. Here's the money prompt. These 2 data sets show the performance of the same campaigns, both from the email service provider and the website behavior metrics. I want to see the the performance of each campaign across both data sets. Merge the data, combining session campaign and campaign name into one column, inferring, it does that quite well, which campaigns were the same based on their names and based on their dates. Provide a link to download. This actually worked. It made a report that showed me in one spreadsheet the GA4 data and the ActiveCampaign data. And over there on the right, you can see the campaign names. See the data is on the far left and the campaign is on the far right. Why I put the campaign way on the far right, I have no idea, and I don't care. It doesn't matter where it is, of course. And there's gaps here, but there's enough data that I think it can analyze that and find some correlations for me. Let's see what it says. You're a skilled digital strategist and an email marketing expert. What insights can you gather from this combined data set? Okay, it's got some ideas: campaign performance, conversion analysis. It's getting started. Not much insights yet. At this point, I sometimes use long shot. I call it a long shot prompt. Just go for broke. Just throw something weird at it. AI does great with strange requests. What can you tell me about it? Or make a chart using an unusual visualization method. Show unexpected insights in an unusual visualization method. Or I did this one. They actually came up with clever answers. I'll show you if you ask. How would Leonardo da Vinci visualize this data? Show your thinking. For that last one, it said that Leonardo da Vinci made a diagram called the Vitruvian Man with his arms and legs spread out. So I'm going to make you a spider chart or a radial bar chart that aligns with the Leonardo da Vinci drawing. Wow, it's actually kind of cool. Now I'm going to categorize these for deeper analysis. Categorize these articles into marketing topics. How do topics correlate with metrics? Just a big question. Just tell me about the correlations. And you can see how it actually, categorizes them nicely. And already it's showing open click engagement and engagement time. Those are metrics from two different tools. It's got it, right? You could just think of those as benchmarks. My next prompt is to go deeper into the insights, and it's actually pretty insightful. Content marketing has high open rates, but shorter engagement time. Email marketing has average open rates, but much longer engagement time. Let's make a chart. Draw a chart showing the performance of each across the 7 email marketing metrics. Open rate, click-through rate, unsubscribe rate, engagement rate. This is the 3 on the left are ESP, and the 3 on the right are GA4. Engagement, session conversion rate. It's showing me the conversion rate from these and the average engagement time. Very strange, right? The topics that did better when the visitor landed were not the topics that did better in the inbox. Again, mousetrap and cheese, right? You can see the gap. There are some of these topics are better for attracting visitors who engage deeply, but don't tend to click on the emails. Other ones are great for the clicks, but the visitors who land don't engage as deeply. So I found that really interesting. So you could imagine the content strategist could then maybe adapt the email strategy based on this, or again, try those dual topics. Suggest adjustments to this email marketing campaign based on that data. It's got some recommendations. They're pretty good. I mean, this is something to consider. And then I've got a list of other strategy prompts in here. Suggest changes that would improve the efficiency of this program. Suggest adjustments that would, that based on the data, what 5 subject lines would have the highest conversion rates. You could imagine what types of campaigns should be abandoned. It's giving me all kinds of interesting things based on those. Just food for thought. And the ROI is high because the investment is extremely low. All I did was type a sentence. It crunched data on thousands of lines of spreadsheet with me typing one sentence. ROI is a function of your investment, and the investment in these AI prompts is quite low. It's not any harder than typing a sentence. What open click-through users engagement rates would you expect from the following subject line? I gave it a subject line and asked it to project performance, and it projected the performance. Based on the existing data, it told me what it thinks I would likely see for opening click-throughs and engagement rates. Test. That's, I guess, the best thing, test. Moving right along, making pretty good time. I'm going to do timing analysis next. I'm going to have AI correlate dates and days and seasonality. Again, I've got my campaign data, and I've got my date as the secondary dimension. This is really cool. I never really cared about data as the date stuff inside Google Analytics until now. Never have I ever added data as a secondary dimension. But suddenly, it's very useful to me because I can use it to give to the AI. I don't even have to care about the formatting of the date. It will understand the formatting of the date. Giving you newsletter campaign data with dates. Can you analyze? Sure. There you go. Frequency of newsletters over time. So it actually is immediately doing the analysis on that. You can begin to see seasonality. Now I'm asking it to draw charts, one showing correlations of performance by month, one to show correlations of performance by day of week. I found that pretty interesting. I'm skeptical of this chart. Ann and I talked about this earlier for a couple of reasons. One is, although people open emails all different days of week, you're still going to have much more data for the day of week when you sent the email. So engagement rate, yes, you'll have some, but the reason, first of all, there's something missing for sure here over on October, some zeros. That's my monthly data. But also, I don't really trust this weekend stuff because I don't think there's enough engagement of emails on weekends for me to make a decision based on that. But it is very likely true that my visitors are more likely to convert on Fridays. By the way, when you're blending two different metrics, try the prompt normalize the data. When you tell it to normalize the data, it will fix the two different metrics in a way where they're comparable to each other. If you ever have it make a chart with both like impressions and click-through rate, the click-through rate line will look flat at the bottom and impressions will be very high at the top. So if you have it normalize the data, it can draw them in a way where you can see both metrics in a relativistic perspective like this. These are just consider the word normalize. Probably all of us will be better understanding of statistician kind of concepts just by using AI. This is going to make you, what we're using here is basically super simple data scientist kind of skills. Create a schedule. If you wanted to go from there to creating an actual email schedule for you, again, I'm showing you long shot prompts and I'm not doing this myself, but you can just ask it, make me an annual, a calendar, make me an annual calendar. Chris Penn's got better insights in this, very clever. Chris Penn put out of office search volume into Google Search into Google Trends and Ahrefs, and actually figured out what the worst weeks of the year are to send emails based on out of office. Pretty interesting. We'll share these slides. There's also a link in here. Trust Insights. This is Trust Insights, Chris Penn's company. He's a thought leader on the topic of AI and marketing technology. This is a part of his Marketing 2024 forecast, showing you what's going to work next year. It's interesting. Okay. Coming down to it, I'm going to do now conversion rates for specific articles. Very rare for marketers or content strategists to know which of their articles is growing their email list the fastest. I used to do this myself, and it was very, very tedious. So tedious, I didn't do it very often. It works like this. You can read an article and then subscribe. In other words, this is a sticky footer. You can subscribe to this newsletter from any blog post on this website. Makes it difficult to do analysis because every one of these pages has a form on it, a one-field form. So with that in mind, to try to get the conversion rate per article, you need to download one spreadsheet of the traffic to each article. Then you need to download another spreadsheet to show the total conversions when that blog post was the previous page path. Very hard to do. Weird, fancy, difficult VLOOKUPs and stuff. I stink at Excel. I'm bad, by the way, at data manipulation and management and any kind of like pivot table. I don't know how to make a pivot table. So part of this is just a story about a marketer, me, who's just getting insights with no skill. I don't have any skills in Excel at all, but lucky for me now, someone invented AI and I don't need those skills. So instead of making that difficult VLOOKUP, which my wife helped me with the first time I did this, I don't need to make VLOOKUPs ever. I'll probably never learn Excel at this point. Why would I? So the first thing I'm going to do is to go to my my report. I'm going to customize it to get just some basic metrics. And this is page location is my primary dimension. I'm going to add a filter so that I'm just looking at the blog posts. And then I'm going to export that. Now I've got traffic to all my blog posts. That's half the battle. I need a second report, though. This does not exist in Google Analytics. It's something you have to make. My second report is going to show me just the newsletter sign-up page, but my secondary dimension is going to be the page referrer. This shows which pages people were reading right before they subscribed, right? Or when they subscribed. So as long as this report has the conversions in it, then I've got all my data. So conversions on the, one of your metrics, just leave conversion as one of the metrics. So I'm going to delete those top 9 rows. I'm going to delete any other rows that are obviously irrelevant, like the thank you page itself or the blog landing page. You can just take those out. Now I'm going to give it the data. Can you analyze? I'm going to give it the other data. Confirm that you have access, or can you analyze? Here's the prompt. Map the data from these 2 files together into one file, just as you do with a VLOOKUP. So each row is one URL, and the sessions and conversions are shown for each. Give me the data to download. Cool. I'm going to check the file. It looks perfect. That's just what I wanted. It's got the conversion rate. It's got the conversions, doesn't have the rate, the sessions, the users, and conversions for every one of those URLs. So the next thing I have to do is actually quite simple. Just ask it to calculate the conversion rate. If there's problems with that, you can use cleanup prompts, merge URLs, remove URLs that don't fit, or remove anomalies that it might find anomalies, remove URLs that have, if there's parameters at the end of URLs, just combine those. To do these kinds of things, you need to know Excel scripts. Like, I don't know how to do that. You got to, tell it that if there's a parameter at the end of the URL that you want to count that as just the URL. I never enjoyed doing that. Now I'm going to just ask it to draw a bar chart showing the conversion rate for each blog post. First thing it does is correctly show how to calculate a conversion rate, and then it shows the conversion rate from every blog post. Insights are obvious. What to promote, what to share, what to send again as an email, what to keep in heavy social rotation, what to put in your email signature, what to put on your thank you page, all the different places you can drive traffic. You want to use all those ways to drive traffic to these, because this is a chart showing your very best mousetraps. Do anything you can to attract more visitors to these, because these are the pages that are growing your list. The visits to these are worth 100x the visits to any other random page. Very rare to meet a marketer who knows which of their articles has the highest conversion rate. I can make that report now anytime in under 5 minutes for sure, right? Okay, I think I've got my last one here, and then we've got a minute for questions. I'm going to analyze the performance of video. So I'm going to go to YouTube. Again, I'm just looking for export buttons. If I see an export button, I start drooling because I know that I can get insights from it very quickly. I'm just going to go to YouTube. This is studio.youtube.com. If you've got an active YouTube channel, just click on analytics, go to advanced mode. And from advanced mode, give yourself the longest date range you can, and click on that plus. That plus is how you add metrics in YouTube Studio. You got to add a bunch of different metrics, all the most relevant metrics you can find related to engagement, things like likes and subscribers gained. You can see already, I've got likes, subscribers, comments, views, watch time. But what I don't have here is likes per view or subscribers gained per view, right? It doesn't show those things. The percentages that it shows are not percentages of the rate of likes. There's no like rate in metric here. What that is the percentage of all the likes on that video. Why do I care about that? That's not, can't even think of a way to do, any marketing on that. That doesn't help me at all. Now I'm going to export. There's my download button. I'm going to export. I'm giving you data from YouTube Studio. Can you analyze? Certainly. Proceeds with alacrity. You're a content strategist. Look more closely at these titles and categorize them into marketing topics, because there's like 100 of them in there. I really want to see just general. I'm a content strategist, right? I'm informing decisions about what to proceed with. I like to see categories of things. Otherwise, I'm looking at a lot of outliers, and I'm trying to pan out a little bit in this analysis. And categorization is something that is not an easy thing to do anyway. So it categorizes them. Lovely. I appreciate that. Thank you. And then I'm going to ask it to analyze the performance and engagement metrics for each topic category. Show your thinking. Very useful 3 words to add to any prompt. And then draw a chart. So there are all of the views, likes, comments, subscribers, impressions for each category of video. So you can begin to see the correlation between topics and engagement. And I'm going to ask it to draw a chart. The views and impressions were blowing it out, right? I could have asked it to normalize, but those things were very, very long. So now it's just showing me the likes, the comments, the subscribers. That's a lot better. It has some takeaways for me. These do make sense to me. It shows you which categories perform well in which ways. But let's ask it about engagement, and it's going to infer from that engagement rate. Which topics have high or low engagement based on views? Based on views. Now you're going to see a metric that you've probably never seen before. This is likes per view, comments per view, subscribers gained per view, per topic. That chart shows all the topics of every video you've ever produced in its ability in its likelihood to create that type of engagement. These are metrics that don't exist inside any tool I've ever seen. Likes per view, comments per view, watch time per view. So you can see, like, the content marketing videos have much, much longer watch time per view, but not really a lot of, not high in terms of engagement in other ways. Web development, web design topics perform decently across all metrics. Some of these other ones, it's the It's actually the social media marketing videos that are attracting the most YouTube subscribers. Not the most likes, but the most subscribers. So that gap, that's pretty interesting. And then of course you're already in the AI, so you can ask it to do some to take the next step based on this data. Suggest 10 video titles that would likely perform well in the YouTube channel. Decide for yourself, right? But you're only one prompt away from asking it to take the next step. So instead of just taking that and be like, what should I do? You can look at the data and then say, what would you do? What do you think I should do? Or you can simply ask, what is the next best prompt for me to get better marketing results? How should I prompt you? What should I ask you? Tell me what prompts I should use, ChatGPT, to get insights from this data. What action should I take now? You're a marketing strategist. What would you do? What do you do? We're kind of in. We got 5 minutes left for questions. My final slide. Collect everything, connect everything. You should begin now in this era to think differently about data. It makes more sense than ever to start collecting things from different sources.